you should be able to find the slope of a line from a table of values, and you should be able to determine the y-intercept of a line given a table of values. And you should be able to put those together to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's take a look. So slope-intercept form, remember, is y equals mx plus b, where m represents your slope and b represents your y-intercept. Okay. To find the y-intercept on a table of values, so just a quick look, this is a table of values, and all it is it represents points that are on a line. And it's kind of a snapshot. The table can keep going in either direction. These were just the numbers that were put into the table. So it's not the only numbers on the line. So the y-intercept, if you look at a graph, where the y-intercept would be on the y-axis, the x value there will always be 0, and then whatever the y value is. So when you're looking in your table of values, your y-intercept is always where x is 0. Okay? So this is what I was saying, the coordinate will always be 0, whatever the y value is there. Sometimes you must continue a pattern in the table to determine if the y-intercept, because you can't see the 0. So we'll have to, I'll show you what that means in just a couple minutes. So that's our y-intercept. And then our slope. We talked about this previously. There's a couple different ways to calculate slope. You could pick 2 points and calculate the slope in your slope formula. Or I'm going to show you another way where you find the differences using the table of the y's and the x's, and you can find your slope that way. Once you find your slope and your y-intercept, you just plug them in. So let's take a look. I'm going to start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is always where x is 0. So here's the x column. Here's where x is 0. So that is my y-intercept. That's a positive 5. So I'm just going to write it's a positive 5. Now, remember your slope is rise over run. And when you do the formula, it's the differences in the y's divided by the differences in the x's. Okay? So let's look. We can look at these numbers and see what the differences in the y's are. You want to look and see what the pattern is. Well, each time we're subtracting 1 each time. 6 minus 1 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. So that means the difference in the y's is negative 1. Now we're going to find the difference in the x's. So I'm going to look at the x column. And as I go down, what's happening each time is we're adding 3. Okay? So my rise was negative 1, and then I had a run of a positive 3 because I was adding 3 each time. Well, here's my slope right there. So I've got my slope, I've got my y-intercept, I can plug them in. Y equals, for m, I have negative 1/3, and then x plus b, and b is 5. All right, let's try this again. My next example is a little bit different, but this happens sometimes too, so we're going to be able to deal with it. I'm going to find the y-intercept first. Remember, the y-intercept is where x equals 0. So when I look, I do not see x equals 0. But if I follow the pattern, I can see that it will be right there, because that's the next number in the chart. Like I can tell the next number here would be 5 because of the pattern that's being followed. Okay, now let's see if we can find the pattern for our y's to figure out what number would actually be right there. So when I'm looking and I'm going down my chart, I'm adding 5 each time. 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14, 14 plus 5 is 19. So if I'm adding 5 going down, when I'm moving in the opposite direction, because I'm trying to get to this number up here, I'm actually subtracting 5. So if you look at it, 19 minus 5 is 14. 14 minus 5 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. Well, what's 4 minus 5 to get to that number? 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Okay, so we can move up and down however we want as long as we keep following a pattern. If I wanted to know what this point was, I'm adding 5 as I go down my point chart. So what's 19 plus 5? Well, that point would be 524. Okay, so you can move up and down the chart. It's just following the pattern that's there. So we have a y-intercept of -1. And now let's check our slope. It's the differences in y's is a +5. Now our differences in x's, what are they doing each time? It looks like they're adding 1 each time. So +5 divided by +1 is just 5. Now that we have a slope and we have a y-intercept, we can plug them in. Y equals, not m, we're going to plug it into mx plus b. So my m is 5, keep the x, and my b is -1. And that's how you use this. So the next page, the 4 problems are homework. Turn them in on Canvas. See you in class.